Good morning. It's Wednesday, June 17th. And the other day I read that the Supreme Court ruled workers can't be fired for being gay or transgender. Now, for some reason, I thought that was settled law. But the Supreme Court ruled on Monday that workers cannot be fired for being gay or transgender, and that's a major win for the LGBTQ community. That's too many letters. Now, the decision is a major blockbuster in the development of the history of gay rights in the United States. See, and this is where I was confused. Workers in about half the country were protected by local laws that prohibited discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. But there was no federal law that explicitly barred LGBT workers from being fired on that basis. So now we have a federal law. That's a big step forward, a federal law. And this case was brought by three workers who said they were fired from their jobs because they were gay or transgender. They argued that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, which says that employers cannot discriminate on the basis of sex, also applies to sexual orientation and gender identity. And that's a key phrase, that sexual orientation or gender identity. Two of these people were gay, and the third was transgender. And they all got fired because of their sexual orientations. They had different types of jobs, but they were all fired for their sexual orientations. So they brought the suit. The Supreme Court ruled on Monday 6-3 in this landmark decision that gay and transgender employees are protected by civil rights laws against employer discrimination. Neil Gorsuch voted with the majority and was appointed to write the opinion for the 6-member majority. And I'll read to you what he said later on. But I want to say that this encouraged me because Gorsuch, in my mind, was an arch-conservative who was appointed by Trump. But he proved me wrong. And that gives me a glimmer of hope that maybe he's a free thinker and he'll do what's right and not necessarily follow the conservative line all the time. And the Chief Justice, John Roberts, goes back and forth, and that's okay. He voted with the majority also. And the other four are the standard liberal justices. Kagan, Ginsburg, Sotomayor, and Breyer voted in the majority. So Gorsuch said in his decision, in the opinion he wrote for the majority, today we must decide whether an employer can fire someone simply for being homosexual or transgender. The answer is clear. An employer who fires an individual for being a homosexual or transgender fires that person for traits and actions it would not have questioned in members of a different sex. Sex plays a necessary and undisguisable role in the decision. That is exactly what Title VII forbids. So we had also Alito and Kavanaugh and Thomas dissented from the decision. Now, the decision was a very highly anticipated decision by the Supreme Court, and it was stacked with high-profile cases. And it was delivered in the middle of LGBT Pride Month. So this is a landmark decision, very important decision in the minds of many. The Trump administration weighed in on the cases, arguing on behalf of a group of employers who had been brought to court for the firing of their gay and transgender employees. The Department of Justice, our wonderful Department of Justice, had argued that the 1964 Civil Rights Law did not cover gay or transgender employees. So this is a landmark decision in my mind, because here's a president who sticks his nose in where it doesn't belong all the time, and is in favor of the employers. I don't think he was so much in favor of being against gay or transgenders. I think his thing was for the employer's benefit. This wasn't for the employer's benefit. And I'll tell you why I believe that in another minute. Okay? So I was feeling good about this decision, and good because Donald got his fingers or his hand slapped for a change. But here's another thing that showed up that proved in my mind that what I thought about him favoring the employers is this decision that came about last week. The administration finalized the Department of Health and Human Services rule that excludes gay and transgender people from discrimination protection under the Affordable Care Act. So here we are, originally trying to screw these people by allowing the employers thing, and now we want to exclude these people from the Affordable Care Act. The administration has been working on this rule for over a year. So for an entire year, they have been plotting to screw gay and transgender people from the discrimination protections under the Affordable Care Act. So that's clear to me where these people stand, right? This is an election, a pre-election campaign promise almost, because he's catering to his base, to the anti-abortion people, to the people who are anti-gay rights and anti-transgender people. That's who he's catering to. So this decision, on behalf of the administration, through the Department of Health and Human Services, will make it easier for the doctors and the hospitals and the insurance companies to deny care or coverage to transgender or non-binary patients, as well as women who have had an abortion. Now, he's attacking affordable health care because it was an Obama thing. Why else would you attack affordable health care? What is it doing? It's giving people health insurance. And I'm still waiting for this guy to come up with the best health care plan in the world. Like we'll never see the best of anything from him. All right. I think we've had enough for the time being. Thank you.